Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Tiffanie Vendryes, Tiffanie Travels. We help women and families travel, build wealth, and live richer. So today we have a special guest. They moved to Ecuador, and we're going to find out exactly how they did it and what they love about it. Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
Hey, so we can start with you introducing yourself and letting us know who you are, what you do. I know you have a YouTube channel, so you can tell us a little bit about that.
How would you
well,
like to start?
I'm Steve, and like you said, our YouTube channel is Living Abroad. We live in Ecuador. We retired early, so we're just trying to enjoy our life here.
I'm his wife, LaShawn. So, yeah, we decided to move to Ecuador and we're loving it each and every day.
Yeah.
So, what made you choose Ecuador? And were there other places you were looking?
There were other places we were looking. Panama was our first choice before Ecuador. It was Panama, Ecuador,
We kind of considered Costa Rica, but
Costa
it was
Rica,
expensive.
and Africa.
Yeah,
We were thinking about Ghana, right?
Ghana. Yeah.
Ghana. And so I have a friend who is Ecuadorian, and she suggested that we check Ecuador out. And because Panama changed their visa restrictions, we changed our flight and we came to Ecuador, and we spent about
It was 9 days here.
almost 2 weeks
Yeah.
here, and we fell in love. And Ecuador became our first choice
Yeah.
over Panama.
Okay. Did you ever go to Panama or have you been to Panama before?
Not before, but we have been to Panama recently.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so Ecuador. And then, what city in Ecuador did you go to that first time for the 9 days?
We went to, I'm
Well,
sorry.
well, no. Okay, so we
We
went to three
started
different
off,
cities. So we went
yes, we
to
started off in Guayaquil,
Guayaquil, and then
and
we took a trip to the coast of Salinas because our friend, she's from Guayaquil, but she spent a lot of time in Salinas, so she took us to Salinas, and we love the beach. And then we took a trip to Cuenca
Cuenca, and
before coming back to Guayaquil.
Cuenca didn't actually agree with me because I have vertigo, so it made my vertigo even more. It was
It was
worse
more
than,
problematic,
yeah,
yeah.
than
And it was primarily the first. We were here for like 3 days that first time we came to Cuenca, and the first day, she was just incapacitated basically. And then the second 2 days, she got a little better. But then that's what kind of convinced us to move to the coast versus the mountains initially.
Okay, so Ecuador in Spanish is equator, right? It's like
Mhm.
right on the equator. So is it super hot there?
it depends on where you are in the
Exactly.
country.
Okay.
So, like in Salinas, the temperature was around 70. It could be between 74 and 80, depending on what time of the year.
Yeah, it could be
So,
a little higher, it could be a little lower. It just on average is somewhere around like 70, 80 degrees.
Okay. Okay.
But other parts of the country get really hot. Guayaquil gets really hot. Even here in Cuenca, it gets hot if you're in the sun.
Okay. And then you said you switched because it was easier to get the visa in Ecuador. So what's the visa process like?
well, it depends on which visa you want to choose. You can choose the digital nomad if you're going to work remotely,
Okay.
and you have a temporary residential visa for a pension.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to buy real estate here, you can get a visa based off
Then an
purchasing
investment, yeah,
an
investment
investment
visa. You
visa.
can also invest in a CD, a certain amount, and you can get a visa that way. Or the professional visa if you have a
Mhm.
degree.
If you have a degree. So if depending on what you want to use, I mean, which visa you want, those are the options.
Right. And it just depends on how you qualify at the time. You know,
Every year,
yeah, it
the
goes up.
the income changes.
Right. So our first visa was a pension, and our second one is professional.
Okay. Okay. So it doesn't matter what you have a degree in or where you got your degree. but you can go there with a professional visa if you have a degree.
Yes. I don't know. I don't think it matters what your degree is in.
Uh-huh.
I'm not for sure, but it has to be from an accredited college, and it cannot be an online degree.
Yeah, it can't be like a primarily online school.
Oh, okay, interesting. And so you're fully retired there in Ecuador, or you don't work remote there? Okay.
No.
No,
So tell us about the cost of living in Ecuador as compared to where are you guys from?
Virginia.
Okay, so as compared to Virginia.
Well, I'll let you talk about that.
The cost in Ecuador varies depending on what you're looking for. So in Virginia, let's say if you're looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in Virginia right now, that apartment could be $1,200, $1,200 to $1,500.
Yeah.
Here in Ecuador, you can get a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $400, $600, depending on location and what amenities that come with that. So if you choose a condo and your amenities are a swimming pool, steam room, sauna, game room, gym,
Front desk,
Okay.
concierge,
yeah.
that can vary. But just depending on where you want to be, the price can be anywhere from $300 to $900. It just
beachfront could be 13. It depends on what someone wants to charge and where it is and the going rate around there.
Yeah.
It varies a lot, but it's still much more affordable than the U.S.
Okay, and then so do you have blackouts there? Because I know certain countries like Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, it's common to have like power outage for a day or a couple of hours. How is it there in Ecuador?
Well, before we moved to Cuenca, we did have power outages. It could be for any reason.
Yeah.
I have gotten up in the middle of the night and the power was off, but it would probably be off about
like an hour
2
or
or 3 hours.
But that was before the blackout schedule started because of the drought in South America.
Okay.
Because Ecuador's electricity is primarily hydroelectric. So the drought that's been going on is like there's been power outages in Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay. Like it's the whole continent basically, and it's like this historic drought. So this year, we've been dealing with a lot of blackouts. So there's blackout schedules depending on what your power company is. They'll put out the schedule. So wherever you live, you find out where you live, and you'll see what the schedule is for that day. So they've been up to 12 hours. Usually not 12 hours at a time. It'll be like 6 hours one part of the day and 6 hours another part of the day.
Or they'll split up into 3 parts. It could be 4 hours in the morning, and again later in the morning and in the evening. It just depends.
And that's when it's really long blackout. Sometimes they're 3 hours, sometimes they're 4 hours or 6 hours. It depends. It fluctuates. Hopefully this drought ends soon and it won't be this issue anymore. And it is really bad.
And also, even though there's a schedule, not all the time that your power will go off at the scheduled time. Sometimes it can be 15 minutes, sometimes it can be 15 minutes before, it can be 30 minutes, it just depends. And sometimes it can be longer. You just don't know. You just go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they try to do it at night when people are like, oh, I guess they try to do it in the day so you can use the sunlight?
Yes. So both. And that honestly depends on the length of the outage schedule for that week. So like I said before, if it's 12 hours, then they're going to split it up. Like part of those hours are going to be like through the middle of the night. And then the other part will be through the day. And they might break that up in two pieces. If it's shorter, then it honestly just depends. And then it depends on which area that blackout's in, because some areas will have longer blackouts than others. And like I said, you kind of have to look at your schedule to see exactly what your blackout times will be. And it's kind of hard to figure out. I'm not sure how they organize it, honestly. But I don't know, it seems roughly fair, I guess.
Okay, so tell us about the healthcare system there in Ecuador?
Well, you have a few options.
Mhm.
So the difference with here in the US is you can have private insurance, you can have the government insurance, or you can just pay out of pocket. And hey, JB, so it's much more affordable, but it works differently than the US. So one quick example is like a doctor might come to your house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do have house calls here all over Cuenca. It's just not in certain areas. They do have house calls because they understand that some people may not have the funds to travel. So they will, or they may not be able to travel. So they will make house calls.
Yeah, and it's just I think honestly, and also it might just be more convenient than having an office where people pop into an office. Like the doctor just comes to you. So with that, like that part can be easy. The when it comes to like cost, it's hard to I don't know, it's hard to really explain how it's different
What do you
because
mean?
in the US, like you might use your health insurance and you're just paying copays.
Mm-hmm.
But the bill might say, $3,000-$4,000, but you might only pay $100 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the premium you pay every month.
Right.
The difference here is like you might get everything for a couple $100.
Oh, so what you mean is, so what he mean is, if you go get a X-ray, or if you get an ultrasound, or if you get a sonogram, or any type of services outside of your visit to the doctor, in the US, you're going to get a bill from each one of these companies, each one of these people. Here, if those things are in the office, if you have public health insurance, you don't pay for any of that. And you
Okay.
can be seen the next day. It's not scheduled out for
Oh, yeah,
months
4 months from now or something.
or anything. You may have, if they can get you in the same day, you'll get in the same day, or you could be the next day. Your lab work can be done in the same office. X-rays, all of those things are done in the office. If you have to go outside of the office and you go to get a X-ray, it can be $25 just for the X-ray, and they give you your X-rays at that time. You don't have to wait for a week or two before you get your X-ray. They will give it to you at that moment. If you get an ultrasound, you get your test results at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
And
a
it
lot more
varies. And it varies on what type of ultrasound you're going to get. It can go from $20. Well, the least amount that I've seen is $20 up to, it can be $85.
Yeah, and that's like the paying out of pocket price.
Yes.
So
No
if you
extra
have
charges.
if you have insurance, then it's different. And they also do insurance reimbursables here too.
Yeah. And if you have insurance, from what I've seen, you have to make the claim within 90 days. You don't want to wait till the last minute, because if the company has to come back and ask you questions or need you to send additional information, you want to give yourself enough time to give that, because if you go outside of the 90 days, you're not going to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And dental care is a lot cheaper too. Like you can kind of just go in the office and make an appointment that same day and get like a cleaning done, or fillings, whatever. And it's way more affordable than the United States.
Yes, Jay, correct. The medical service is definitely simplified here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds simplified and also cheaper and also easier to get access to it if you can make a same day appointment.
And you
Yeah.
can also just text a doctor. If you
What?
text it, so if you have, let's say we moved to Ecuador, and you join a Facebook group and you say, hey, does anyone know a private doctor that I can check for, I have some issues going on. Yeah, they see your doctor's name. You do a WhatsApp, you send a doctor, hey, my name is da 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 da, and I have these issues. They're gonna respond and say, hey, can you come in tomorrow at 11 o'clock? Sure. You go in tomorrow, or I can come to your house, and if you need lab work, I can bring the lab person and they can do the lab at your home.
Yeah, that's we've seen that personally and
Wow.
experienced it personally. Yeah.
Okay, so how would you say your quality of life has improved since moving to Ecuador?
100%.
Yeah, and I would say like the number one reason for me personally is just because I don't work anymore.
Yes.
So that improves my quality of life. But otherwise, being able to just kind of do the things that we want to do
Mhm.
without the stress of just daily work life, it has greatly improved.
100%.
And even if I can't say it's the country that is 100% solely responsible for that, but living here gives us the ability to do that.
Yeah, you don't really realize, for me, I'll speak for me. Being in the US, I had so many things to worry about, so many things to focus on that my brain didn't turn off even when I was asleep.
Mhm.
And I started to establish insomnia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had insomnia really bad. So when we moved to Ecuador, all of that dissipated. I have no issues with sleeping.
And so you just get up when you're rested. You don't have an alarm or
Oh, yeah.
anything.
No, we
No.
only set alarms when we're going somewhere
Specifically.
like that morning, like we have like an appointment or we going on a trip, something like that. That's the only time
That's the
we
only
set an alarm.
time. And you don't even really need the clock. Like
Yeah.
you know what time of day it is. For me, I know when it's 8. I know when it's 12.
Yeah, it's going to get dark at 6:30. Like
Uh-huh.
the sun's going to come up at 6. It's every day.
Yeah.
So has it been challenging to maintain your relationships with your friends and family back in the US? Do they come visit?
Yeah.
How does it go?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's had a couple friends come visit. Our kids haven't yet.
Uh-huh.
There's a plan, but yeah, we it's not hard to try to keep relationships going. You got FaceTime and we can call. This really not that much of an issue, honestly. Not like it would have been 30 years ago.
All right. And then is there like an expat community there in Ecuador? Because I know like certain places in Panama or Mexico, like Merida or Mexico City or San Miguel de Allende, they have like a community of expats that are living there. So it kind of makes it easier to get socially adjusted. How is it there?
It's the same.
Oh,
There's an expat community in Salinas, Manta, Cuenca. I'm pretty sure in other places that we haven't been, but so far there's been an expat community in all of the places that I just named.
Yeah.
okay.
No, it's not. We're all over the place.
Good. So that's been an easy adjustment. And then do your family and friends come to visit or is it just like the FaceTime, WhatsApp?
Well, I've had friends come visit. Our kids are planning to make a visit next year.
Okay.
I don't expect any of my siblings to come because it's, I guess, how can you put it? That old age thing about traveling on a plane, it's too far, even though it's only 4.5 hours. Yeah, it's whatever.
Nice. And then how's the language barrier been for you guys? Are you learning Spanish? Has it been difficult?
Okay, so there are times it's a barrier
Mhm.
when our phones don't work. Like we're in a place and we don't have service, and we have to try to figure out together how we can
Right.
respond and understand.
And we're bouncing bad Spanish off of each other, so it's not helping the situation at all.
But other than that, we can get around, we can order food, we can do a lot of things much better than we did when we first got here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, leaps and bounds better than when we first got here. Like we're at the point, we actually been at this point for a while where we don't need to actually pull out our phones to read a menu.
Good.
Because that was like maybe the first 6 months we were here, we were doing that all the time. And now we never
No, we pretty much
give
know
me a Spanish menu. Like sometimes they'll ask, well, just give me a Spanish. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So we can read it pretty well. I can understand
more than I can.
A little. I don't even want to say that I can understand more than she does.
Yes,
it's just that I pick up faster speakers than she does. So
that makes you understand more.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if someone's speaking fast, I'm more equipped to pick it up than she is. But her vocabulary is a little better than mine because she studies a lot more.
Okay.
So that's where we kind of work together. I'm not like a studier.
No, he's not.
But I can listen and I can understand and I can respond pretty well. But she just has a bigger vocabulary.
Good. So the two of you together, you have the vocabulary, you got the comprehension.
Right.
We have Kim, that's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hey.
After researching, what was the deciding factor for Ecuador?
Go ahead.
The deciding factor for Ecuador, it felt like the right place for us. The weather is number one. The weather is pretty much consistent.
Yeah, the two places. So here's the thing: we've only lived in two places, Salinas and here in Cuenca. Salinas is a really like stable climate. It's hot. It's kind of hot in the summer, but it's not crazy hot. You know, it's not like South Florida. It's nothing like that. It's like a West Coast climate.
Okay.
Southern California climate.
Okay.
And here in Cuenca, it's high up in the mountains. It's dry. Like the air is dry.
The air is
It
dry.
rains. The air is dry, and the sun, when it's beating on you, it can be hot, but it still might only be like 80 degrees. So
yeah, the UV from the sun is very high.
It's really hot.
It can be anywhere between 12 and 13.
Yeah. So if you're out in the sun, it feels hotter than it actually is.
So when you get in the shade,
it feels nice and cool.
It's nice and cool. You get a breeze. It's very tolerable.
And at night, it's like in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
It's perfect for her. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect for me. So the two places we've been has been very
good for weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because weather is a factor. What did I say? Weather is the first? Yeah, weather was the first. Cost of living. You can, and the food. Food is amazing.
And a US dollar.
US dollar.
Yeah, so there's no conversion here.
Oh, they use the dollar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's nice.
That's the only currency here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Panama.
So you know. I'm sorry.
Panama uses the dollar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, nice. They use the dollar. Okay. Oh, good. Good. Oh, so you were talking about the weather. Is that all year, the temperatures, or is that like your winter temperatures?
Okay, so we haven't gotten into summer here in Cuenca, right?
Not quite.
No, but in Salinas, when we first got to Salinas, we were coming in at the end of summer, right? When we first
so it was like April.
It was April, around April.
Yeah.
So the temperature there was like 76, 80, 82.
Like it was still hot. If the sun was out and you were outside, like it was hot.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even over like 85 degrees.
So when you got a breeze, it felt really nice. So when we found a place, you can open up the balcony windows. Our balcony doors stayed open majority of the time.
Yeah.
And we got a nice breeze. So we rarely use the AC. We only use the AC when it was really hot or there was music off in the distance. And we just want to close the window. We just want to close, or we were watching a movie,
or when we were asleep. When we were asleep in our bedroom.
Yeah.
And those are only on the hot days. Otherwise, the windows will be open.
Yeah, you can get a nice breeze.
Yeah. So, but in the winter in Salinas, it's
cool.
It's cloudy and cool.
Yeah.
So it's like 60s, 70s every day.
And once you become acclimated to the weather, you would need a jacket. Right. If you're coming straight from the U.S. to Salinas, you would not wear a jacket.
No, you're like, oh, this feels great. But then if you've been there for a year,
yeah, you're
all of a sudden, because the temperature, the weather kind of switches suddenly. So it'll be like 80s and kind of hot when you're outside and sunny, and then all of a sudden the temperature starts going down, and if you go from the 80s and then go to like 60s and cloudy and breezy, it feels really cold. So like you walk around, I
It
have a
felt
sweater
really
on.
cold to him.
Yeah, she was okay.
It was nice and
Yeah.
cool.
But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't
No.
too bad, honestly.
It was very tolerable. The two places, Cuenca and Salinas, has been very tolerable.
And not too many
For me.
bugs.
Oh,
I forgot to mention.
Yeah,
You
you
just
were
like-
thinking
yeah.
the windows were open. I was like, are there
Yeah.
lizards or anything that are coming
no
in?
mosquitoes.
No
No
geckos,
mosquitoes.
but we were on the 13th floor at our place
Okay.
in Salinas, so that wasn't an issue. But like, I don't think we may have in 2.5 years have maybe one mosquito in that apartment. Couple flies, a couple like fly would come
Literally,
in,
yeah.
and that was only in the summertime. Like you
Right.
see a fly. I think I had a honeybee come in twice. Like, but yeah, like bugs weren't really an issue.
Okay, so are the seasons opposite of the states? Like
Yes.
right now it's the summertime.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like now you're going into summer here.
Okay. JB says they have us scared to not live or to live outside of the U.S. and they want you tired and broke here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you get any feedback like that when you were thinking about, or you were telling your family and friends that you're moving to Ecuador? Were they like, "Are you crazy?" Did you get like that kind of reaction?
Not well. Let me speak for me. Not so much like the crazy thing. It was more of a wow, that's kind of awesome. I don't know anything about Ecuador. Like that's what a lot of people tell me. I don't know. We'd be surprised how many people say, "Where is Ecuador?" So, you tell them about it and you tell them about the benefits or whatever. And I knew a lot of people who were either like former military or like military kids.
Okay.
So living outside the country wasn't like scary to them. The scary part was like giving up everything they had in the States.
Mhm.
So like it was more of a fascination about it rather than like you're crazy.
Mhm.
That was for the people I knew. I don't know about the people that she knew.
Well, most of my friends were excited. I had one friend, she was concerned. She was like, make sure I let her know where I was, location, and all of that. Family, as far as my siblings, I think there was a hesitation simply because I've always been the one to leave. Like I was the first one to leave, move out of state, other than my brother who was in the military, but move out of state, and then travel outside the country. And now living outside the country is different. I'm the different one, I guess. I'm the outsider. But as far as friends, friends, they were definitely excited because it's something different and like go for it. Very supportive.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we were just in Mexico City over the weekend, and everybody had like a pet. Like whenever we went to the park, it was a lot of people walking their like an abnormal amount of people walking their dogs. So my mom wants to know: is it a pet friendly city?
Yes and no.
Which mean no.
Watch.
Okay.
Okay. Yes and no. Because it seems like everybody has a dog or a cat.
Yes.
And here in Ecuador, the role of a dog is a little different than the US. Although there are a lot of people here who treat their dogs the same way that people do in the US and Europe. So dogs are primarily for like security here.
For Ecuadorians.
For Ecuadorians. So if you walk past the house, there's going to be a dog out there. It'll bark. It might never go indoors. It might roam free in the street every once in a while.
Or it may be inside a gate.
Right, or in a gate.
Yeah.
But you also see a lot of people walking dogs.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that might be really shocking for Americans is that you'll see a lot of loose dogs.
Even the people who have dogs, they're supposed to be walking them, they're not on a leash. The dog just freely.
Right.
And if you're coming from the US with your dog is going to be more aggressive to the straight.
Yeah, random dogs just walking up to them. Yeah.
Because they're just walking freely and they don't put them on leash. And they're pretty good at behaving.
Yeah.
Their behavior is really good. They don't attack you. They don't come near you. They stay near their owner. But US dogs, you can kind of tell because they're always trying to get to the stray dogs.
Right. And the other thing is that you don't always see the owner. So like, example, we could be walking at a nearby park and there's like a group of dogs that show up, and they'll cross the street. They'll wait for traffic and they'll cross the street. And
Very smart.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, and they come over there and they're just rummaging around, doing their thing. They'll look at you and keep going around about their business. And we're not used to that in the States, because you see stray dogs. Like, whoa, whose dog is that? Like somebody go get this dog.
Because usually the stray dogs in the U.S. are trying to attack you.
Yeah, they're trying to do something crazy. Or
Here,
it's not like that.
It's not like they see you, they'll walk up to you, they'll walk past you, they'll walk along with you. You just like, okay.
Yeah. Do you belong to somebody? Like.
And usually they do, because I've seen dogs with little bows in their hair. They have a collar on, and
they just they clock in when their owner goes to work or whatever, and they roam the streets for the day. That's what they do for a living, I guess. The dogs, and then they come back home.
They clock out and then
they clock out, come back home, and So you think they were strays?
Yeah, but a lot
of them aren't. There are a lot of stray dogs, though.
Yeah,
and they all intermingle, so it's hard to tell which is which.
Oh, so they're not at the house or in the yard while the owner is at work.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. So I would just say, like, if you were bringing a dog here, that is some trained dog that doesn't react to stray dogs sniffing them and walking up to them and stuff like that.
Okay, so we have another question here. What is the cuisine like? Can you get good Italian meal or a great Jamaican meal?
You can get them. I don't know if they're good.
We haven't had Italian or Jamaican.
No, well, at Rabati's in Salinas. What did we have? We had like steak or something.
That was not Italian.
It was an Italian place because the owner was Italian.
Yeah.
But we didn't have like Italian food that day. So it's possible. It's just that like Jamaican food, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen like Jamaican food.
No,
yeah. You probably could somewhere.
Yeah.
The thing is, for us, we eat a lot of local food, or we cook. If you see a video of us like eating at a nicer restaurant, like that's that one time that month that we went to a nicer restaurant to eat. Otherwise, it's like the local mom and pop.
Now there are different. I think there's an Italian place here. We've seen some Chinese restaurants.
Yeah, you get some pretty good fried rice here.
I don't know about that.
At Cholafon?
I don't know about that. His taste, my taste buds are different.
I'm kind of a savage. I whatever. It's all
it doesn't matter. He'll be like, "Oh, it's good." I'm like, this is not good.
But the Ecuadorian food is really good.
Yeah.
So
and
what
Peruvian.
And Peruvian?
Oh, they have both Peruvian and Ecuadorian food around. So what is the Ecuadorian food, Peruvian food?
So if you during lunchtime, you'll see a lot of seco de pollo, seco de chiva, chuleta,
pork chop, fish.
Fish,
fried fish.
So when you go like a lunch special, which they call almuerzos, is you get a soup. That's the first choice, and then your second meal would be rice, beans, and different types of meat. Like you said, fish, pork chop, chicken, goat, and then they may bring out. You may get a little side, like while you're waiting, some popcorn or some chifles and salsa.
And it'll always come with rice and plantains and or beans.
I just said that, sweetheart.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and you'll get a drink.
Yeah.
So it'll be most of the time it's some type of juice, whether it's blackberry juice, which is mora, piña, maracuya.
Yeah.
But I only opt for blackberry juice, which is mora.
Yeah.
That's a safer bet for me.
Okay, so I know Peruvian food, they're big on ceviche. So is that big out there?
Ceviche's big. Yeah.
Ceviche's big here. Especially ceviche in the morning.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was a
Yeah,
morning dish.
well,
Well,
it's not
it's
necessarily a morning dish,
fresher.
it's just fresher.
Because you
Yeah.
don't know how long it's been made, and then
Right.
if you're going to, let's just say, street food, if
Uh-huh.
you're getting street food, you don't know how long it's been sitting in that pot for a while.
Or
So
that cart or whatever.
and it's best to eat it early.
Yeah. So like on the in Salinas, you could get a lot of fresh ceviche. And they'd have it, all day, but you see that a lot of people get it in the morning. Just for that reason, because it's fresher. Like the boats come in around like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's got like fresh fish and shrimp and whatnot.
And the number one soup in Ecuador is encebollado. It's onion soup.
Well, it's onion and fish. So like,
but they call it an onion soup,
I
sweetheart.
know, but still,
and
I hate onions, so I'm not gonna call it.
The type of fish they normally use for is albacore tuna, but they may use some other fish. But albacore tuna is usually the fish that's in the soup.
Yeah.
It has a lot of onions, lime juice, fish, and
it's like tomato,
maybe tomatoes. Yeah. So it just depends on who's making it.
It's delicious.
And then you can eat it with bread or cheese flakes. What is it?
Plantain chips.
Plantain
Everything comes with plantains or plantain chips.
Okay.
Not everything.
It seems like it. Like everywhere we go, you get plantains and plantain chips.
For breakfast and like lunch, dinner, right? Because in the Caribbean, plantains is breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like it's just different styles, like boiled, fried.
Exactly. Yeah. It might be the sweet ones. It might be the hard mashed. Yeah. You get all of them. They're all delicious.
So I just want to put your channel here again, Living Loving Abroad. So be sure to subscribe to see more videos in Ecuador. We have more questions. How easy or hard would it be to live there solo, in your opinion?
It's obviously very easy for some people because we've seen a lot of people that have moved here solo and do very well, traveling around the world. For me, it would probably be harder because I've always been with someone. I've never actually been alone. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I just feel like for me, I don't know if I could live on my own. But we have met people that are here solo and they've been thriving.
Just fine. Yeah. So I can't say if it's easy or difficult. It just depends. I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your personality. Because because one of the things we talked about on our channel is if you are solo and you're moving to another country solely to connect with other people, you may not want to move. You may want to rethink that. You may want to think about why you're moving, not to connect with people. Because if you move there and then you don't have a connection, how are you going to feel? Is that going to put you in a depressed mode or make you feel some way about the country? And it's not really the country. It's just you're not having a connection.
It was your expectations of it, of what your experience is going to be, are different in reality because, like, expats can be a mixed bag. Like we don't all get along with each other, and it's the same way in the States. And I think people don't really expect that because they all have that expat thing in common. But just because you have that one thing in common doesn't mean you get along with anything else. So we're very kind of careful about like how many people we really interact with and become like close friends with, because like we don't
go out a lot.
We don't go out a lot.
We stay to ourselves. So we don't want anyone to think that we are always doing something because we're not.
Right.
And I enjoy being at home.
And a lot of expats are always they're always doing like events and stuff like that. And if that's not your thing, then you gotta let people know that's not your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a Tuesday. It's 8 a.m. You wake up. What does your day look like retired in Ecuador?
First, we have to have our first cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We get up, have our, do our personal
morning
hygiene, and we have our cup of coffee. It could be we're having a discussion about, okay, do we have anything we need to do today?
Yeah.
And if we do, okay, what time we're going to leave? Then we prepare, and then we set out for the day. We're going to catch the bus, and go wherever we need to go. And we go get whatever we need, and we have to decide. Depending on how many bags we have, we may take a taxi back. And if we don't have that many, we may take the bus back. Now, if we don't have anything to do that day, he goes off and he may edit a video. I may go outside and decide what I want to do with my plants or plant some new plants.
I gotta check on my birds too.
He has quails.
Yeah.
But it's basically whatever we decide we want to do. If we want to go take a walk, we go take a walk. We don't want to do anything. Sometimes I can watch a movie that I know he's not going to want to watch. It's perfect.
Yeah, I'll play some PlayStation. It's honestly legit. We almost always, unless we know we need to do something, we almost always decide what we're going to do that morning.
Yeah.
And yeah, unless like I said, unless we know we got to go to the store tomorrow for whatever. But otherwise, everything is kind of done on the fly. We don't really do.
It's not always on the fly.
Well, I know a lot of times it's just we don't do a lot of planning
because we don't do anything.
We're not that busy. I know it may seem like it, but like we're not that busy, and this is how we like it.
Do they have Uber where you live?
Not here.
They have it in Quito
and Guayaquil.
Yeah, in Guayaquil.
But not here.
Here you have 3 choices of transportation. They have you have the bus system. You can take a taxi or you can do the train.
Transvia.
Transvia. And it goes like straight through the city, and then I think it veers off, or another one is in Central where it goes in between. We haven't taken it, but we do plan on. But most of our we take the bus.
Yeah, and the taxi, you can call a taxi through the apps. There's a 2 or 3 apps. There's 2 that we use, Azul Taxi and Cuenca Taxi. And the apps work kind of like Uber. You just don't pay through the app. You just pay the taxi driver. Yeah. So you can call one wherever you are.
How much is a taxi like to the store, I guess?
It depends on which store you go to.
Yeah, how far?
So pretty much you can you can pretty much get around the city, let's say for $6. I think that's the max.
Yeah, that's like from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Oh.
But if you're going to the store, depending on if you're new here and you're not for sure, it can be anywhere between $2 and $3. Because if the taxi don't know, like he figures you don't know where you're going,
you might go the long way.
He may go the long way.
Because he has a meter.
Yeah, there's a meter inside. But if you decide to take the bus is 30 cents, and I think it's 15 cents for anyone 65 and over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we take the bus a lot. We got our little cards. You just tap your card when you get in. Now,
they don't take cash. You have to use a card, like a gift. It's sort of like a gift card. You put money on and you have to tap it.
Yeah. But that's here.
A Metro
because
card.
In Salinas, on the coast, they don't have the cards. We pay money. We pay cash.
Yeah, you pay.
It's like 35 cents.
Yeah, you pay 35 cents in Salinas. You give it to the driver.
Right. So here's a little different. You just tap with a card.
Okay, and then JV asked about personal safety.
Personal safety is I'm her personal bodyguard. Other than that, now I'm only speaking for us. We haven't really had any bad experiences, but we take all the same precautions that we did in the US. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm always watching our backs. She's always watching our back, like at an ATM. It doesn't matter which ATM we're at.
We're looking at our surroundings no matter where we go.
Like, it's the same thing I did in the States.
And whether you're single with someone, you should always be checking your surroundings. And personal safety, there's no reason to be flashy here.
None.
And we have a different mindset since we left the US. I don't wear jewelry except for a pair of earrings, because I don't need any of that.
There's really no point in looking flashy here at all, because like people are so laid back that no one cares. It's not like the States where people are like
what do you have on?
Are you fresh or not? Like, no one cares. No one cares here.
Now, there are some, people do wear name brand stuff.
Yeah.
People do wear jewelry here. It's just our preference not to. We personal safety, like I said, we have friends that are solo. They travel in taxis. They travel on the bus. They feel just as safe as we do, but they are not flashy either.
Yeah. And you always you assume that no place is safe.
Definitely.
And if you assume that no place is safe, you're always making the right decisions. And we always try to put ourselves in situations. We don't believe that nothing can ever happen to us. Well, we put ourselves in situations where it's less likely.
Yeah, try not to be a target.
We're not usually out late, hardly ever. We were like that in the States. But yeah, just making just smart decisions.
Yeah. Okay.
If your gut tells you shouldn't go down the street,
don't do it.
Don't go down the street.
Eileen says hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay, so you guys, we have here, can I be too friendly and that may cause me a problem?
No.
Well,
what do you mean? But what's so friendly?
If she's saying, well, if I'm not sure if JB is a man or woman. Okay, if they're too friendly to everybody, can that be a problem?
What do you mean too friendly? You
so like
saying hi?
No. Like, so I get it.
Okay, tell me.
So if let's say like you meet, whether it be expats
or said she.
Okay, whether it's expats or Ecuadorians, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're too friendly, people might start thinking that like, okay, now we're close, and I can start asking you for things. I can start becoming kind of annoying.
Wait, hold on. My friendliness must be different.
No. Friendly is one thing.
I'm friendly.
Too friendly is, instead of me saying, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, what's going on? How's everything going with your business? What I'm saying? Like, if you get too friendly, then people start being too friendly back, and you might not be ready for that.
Oh, you mean too nosy?
Well, okay, yeah, we'll say it like that.
Like, there's a difference between friendly and too nosy.
Getting too far in your business. Because that can happen, especially with expats.
So do you feel other when you're walking down the street because you don't look Ecuadorian? I don't think you look Ecuadorian, but I've never been there, so maybe they have a population that looks like you.
What they do have Afro-Ecuadorians. I don't get looked at same as he does, because I'm short. He's tall. Yeah. And so they overlook me, and I think they think I speak Spanish, because then they'll come to me and just like da 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 da, and it could be just the hair, and I'm like, wait a minute, no hablo español.
we think they normally assume that we're like Colombian or something.
Oh, okay.
We get a lot of Ecuadorians speaking to us as if
we're Colombian,
right? Like we just speak Spanish. Americans will a lot of times will notice me, and they just assume that I speak English. But Ecuadorians, it's almost always they just assume we speak Spanish.
Okay, so then you don't feel other, because they're thinking we all the same. If they're coming up to you and just going, they're like, we people.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Younger people, doesn't matter.
It's I don't know. It's a definitely a different experience versus the US. I don't know. When we first moved here, I was still hesitant, even when I saw the police, and I just felt like, okay, are they going to stop us? Are they going to ask us questions? Or, are we doing the right thing? Or all those things went through my head until maybe 2 months. I realized like they're not even paying us attention.
Any attention. None.
Just going about your day. Now they'll look at him like, okay.
They'll look up, they'll be on their phone, or look at me and look down. None. On my scooter, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
And are they armed? Because I've been to Colombia, and I think their police officers have like rifles, but still, I didn't feel like they was worried about me. But I was concerned about them. I was like, that's a lot of armor.
Yeah. No, they have both. Yeah, they'll have like a sidearm or a rifle, and they're everywhere. But yeah, it honestly, after a while, it felt good to not be noticed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, JB says that's my experience in Europe.
Yeah.
So let's see. All right, how is living in Ecuador different from living in the United States?
Wow. It's a loaded question.
Mm.
Well, I would say for me, it's hard to make a fair comparison because we don't work.
Mhm.
So if I was working in the States and then I came here to work, I can make a more fair comparison. But since I don't work here, I can say, well, it's just better, because I don't work. But when it comes to actually living, it's not that much different. There are things that we have to do differently, like our house has like a gas stove and heat and water. So when it runs out, I just get a gas bottle from the guy who rides around the truck
You get a gas
15
tank.
times a day. It's so easy. It's $3.25 for a big bottle. We've had this one for like almost a month.
So you're basically saying, for us utilities, utilities are much less than what they are in the
Yeah.
U.S. And here they have split air condition, whereas in the U.S. in some houses you have central heat where it heats the entire house,
Or cool.
cools the house.
Yeah.
Now, here the split AC, if we had one, it would be on the wall. You have a remote, and it cools just that area.
Just that room, yeah.
So it would be like the window units back in the day.
Mhm.
And like you were saying, the gas, we have a gas tank that is for the stove and the water tank.
Mhm.
That's it. And it's like $3. So you just think about, you're paying less than $4 a month for gas, which would never happen
Right.
in the US,
Right.
especially if it's cold and you're running, you got a gas stove, you got a gas water heater, you're trying to heat the house. If you have gas heat, it can be anywhere between $300 and $400, depends.
Right. And since we have no AC here, like that's no extra cost
Right.
here in Cuenca.
And what's different also for us, we had a car when we was in the US. Here we decided not to have a car because we can get around on the bus easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Or a scooter. If it's anywhere close, we just hop on the scooter.
Yeah. And I would say I've never taken a bus while we were in Virginia, simply because everything was too far.
Mhm.
When we're in Salinas, we can walk to the grocery store, we can walk to a restaurant. And here we can do the same thing. We can take the scooter, or we can walk to a grocery store or walk to a restaurant. And it's very convenient. And it feels great to be able to do those things rather than spending so much money on gas to go 45 minutes to where we need to go, 30 minutes.
Well, just driving and dealing with like
Traffic.
traffic stop or something like that, and we don't speak enough Spanish, and that's just a whole nother situation. So yeah, it's
a lot of
convenient. It's a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
The utilities are so much less expensive, even like internet, cell phones, stuff like that. It's all so much less expensive. Products cost more. Like electronic products do cost a lot more because they're all imported.
Right.
Okay.
But services cost a lot less.
So like a cell phone plan, you can get a cell phone plan like he has, or you can just pay as you go. They're both the same. They both work the same. They give you. We both have the same.
How many gigs? Yeah, I upped mine to like 18 gigs.
So I only use about 10 gigs. I use less than 10 gigs.
Yeah, you probably only use like 4 or 5.
And my package is $10 a month. His is
mine is
12.
16. No, it was 16. 16. Yeah. But for that, like, you get a lot. It's hard to really compare it to the States because I never run out of data.
Yeah. We don't really need it as much as we needed it in the States. I don't know why we had it. Oh.
No, I mean, we kind of needed it, but like still, like here, I just don't you don't use as much, and there's Wi-Fi everywhere. Like almost every restaurant has Wi-Fi. The buses have Wi-Fi if you want to use it. But I really don't have any need, because even if we just use data the whole month, except for when we're at home, it still don't run out.
Yeah. So it's very convenient. It, like the access to low cost for services stuff is much better than than the US.
Yeah. My internet's great. My Wi-Fi at home's great. Like 20 something bucks. You know, those things are a lot more affordable.
JB says she feels wealthy just listening to those prices, or her blood pressure went up. How is it at like a restaurant if you get like a drink and an entree, or I guess 2 entrees, 2 drinks, and like how these prices are crazy? I feel like you could order everything on the menu and it'd be like $20.
Well, it depends on where you're going. So you have some restaurants who caters strictly to expats, so you're gonna pay a premium.
Expats or wealthy Ecuadorians. You know, there are those restaurants that cater to that group of people.
So you're gonna pay a premium.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, there can be some meals can be $9 to $15. And you may not get a lot still, you know, because
right. It depends on the type of restaurant. If it's like a Uruguayan restaurant, the plate might be $15, but it's huge. It could feed like 3 people. It kind of depends on where you're going.
Yeah, it just depends on where you're going, because you can go to some place and you're not getting that much for $9, $10, or you can spend $15 and it can feed 4 people.
Right. And like the almuerzos, like she was speaking about earlier, they range anywhere from like $250 to $350.
Now, and you get a lot with that.
You get a lot.
Because like I said, you can get a soup, you get your meal, and then a drink comes with it. Now, you can also go and just to the same place where they sell in the lunch special and get a la carte dish. And like you had say
like rice and
some rice dish.
And,
it came on a platter.
Yeah, it was huge.
We could have fed 4 people off his platter.
But I eat a lot, so I ate the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's massive, and I think that thing might have been like, it was less than $5.
Yeah. So if let's say we went out to a restaurant for my birthday, and we got some type of octopus dish with pasta. And it was on a platter, and we both had a mixed drink, and I think it was like $34.
Right, and it was a big platter. It was like big pieces of octopus.
Yeah,
and it was a Peruvian restaurant that didn't have. It wasn't like one of those inexpensive type like restaurants. It was kind of like middle.
Yeah, but for both of us, with 2 mixed drinks and octopus on a pasta dish for $34, you couldn't get that in the States.
Right.
You're going to spend.
That's just the 2 drinks.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because in the States, drinks cost like $12 to $15.
Yeah.
So you can get a lot of mixed drinks here at, let's say, the inexpensive restaurants for $5. Pina coladas, mojitos.
The best mojito I ever had. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But if you're going to more of a premium restaurant, you may spend $8 or $9.
Or the same amount of money for less drink.
Yes.
Okay. So it honestly, there's a mix of anything you want. It honestly just depends on what you're fine with and how much money you feel like spending that day. We've both eaten dinner for $10 so many times I can't count it.
Oh yes.
You know, like that was normal for us. We just like, hey, I don't feel like cooking. 2 $5 promotion meals, it's enough to feed us for the whole rest of the day. Or we can go somewhere and spend $10 a piece.
Both options are still very affordable, very economical. So, do they have a lot of coffee shops there? Like you just walk down the street, just step in for a coffee and see people reading books. Is that there?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
It depends on where you are.
Because
I know there's more of them here in Cuenca and in Quito, but like on the coast, it's not so many. It's not so much like coffee shops. As
We'll say Salinas because there's
Salinas. Yeah, Salinas. It's not so much that there's a bunch of coffee shops. It's just that a lot of restaurants specialize in like coffee on the menu. And then there's like the sweetened coffee, which is kind of like Starbucks.
Yeah. And we did get a Starbucks here. We do have a Starbucks, and it's in Quito.
It's in Quito, yeah.
And it may be in another place, but yeah, Starbucks. We got a Krispy Kreme, and we do have KFC, McDonald's, and Carl's Jr.
KFC is huge here.
Okay.
I know I got sidetracked on the coffee thing, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But
with Domino's, like there are some American restaurants here, fast food restaurants here, but like he was talking about KFC. KFC is 200% better here than it is in the US.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do to their chicken.
The chicken is different. It's different birds.
It's a different bird. It's
and the menus are different. You
Yeah.
get rice and beans. Instead
you
of,
can get French fries.
Yeah, you can get coleslaw, you can get French fries, but
a lot of their meals don't come with coleslaw. It comes with rice and beans.
Yeah.
You have to ask for it, and the coleslaw does taste like the KFC coleslaw.
That's the one thing that is good.
Yes,
it is the
it's
same.
still the
Yeah,
same.
it's the same.
I don't know what their recipe is, but it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. JB wants to know, where have you guys traveled for like a weekend trip or a day trip from where you're living now?
We've traveled to, once we got to Ecuador, we've traveled to Panama. We've tried for a weekend. Yeah, we traveled to Panama. We've been to Baños.
No.
Yes,
well,
we
that was a day trip. That was recently.
Yeah, that was a day trip. What else we been?
And we've been to Quito, Cotacachi, Mendo, Otavalo.
Those are surrounding.
Those are around Quito.
Around Quito, they're like an hour, 2 hours away from Quito.
Yeah.
So we taken those were day trips, but Quito was more of a.
It was a week. Yeah.
A week.
And we took a weekend trip to Manta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like those.
We've been to Yungay.
Yeah. San Pablo.
Yeah.
There's quite a few places in Ecuador. There's a bunch that we still want to visit.
Yeah. Like Loja.
Yeah.
And
Vilcabamba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can take the bus to certain places, or you can hire a taxi driver to take you to these places. They do have van tours, I think I've seen around Cuenca, that you can schedule a tour if you want to go to a different location.
Okay, so what is a must-try dish in Ecuador?
Encebollado.
Oh, the onion soup.
Yeah. Or for me, the cuy, any kind of cuy dish, the guinea pig.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd say that for me.
Yes, for him.
Yeah.
The must try, I think you should try the consuelo. Consuela?
Consuelo. All right, that's like my favorite go-to dish.
You really need to. It comes. It's like a casserole, but not a casserole.
Yeah.
It's like a thick
paste, I think it's got like a peanut butter type base with like plantain.
But you don't taste the peanut butter. You don't taste. It's really good.
It's thick.
Everybody cannot make it, in my opinion. I found one place that he got it. It was amazing. It was a seafood, because it's called mixto, a consuela mixto.
Yeah, mixto has mixed seafood in it, or you can get it with just fish or just shrimp or something like that.
But if you get the mixto, you may get shrimp. You get shrimp, fish, mussels. If you like seafood,
octopus, like that, or like squid.
And it's served with rice and limes on the side.
Right, and it comes in like a clay pot. If you get it in a restaurant, they'll serve it in a big clay pot. It's still bubbling. It's like a little cauldron.
Okay. Are you?
That's my
one of the things.
Oh, all right.
And also another dish, if you can find it, chupe de pescado.
Yeah.
It's a fish.
It's a soup with
it's
fried
almost
fish.
It looks almost like cream of broccoli, a cream of broccoli soup, but it's not. There's no broccoli, or sometimes they don't have milk in it, but it's very good.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of a thick soup, but then you get like big pieces of fried fish with it, and sometimes it's in the soup. It is incredible. Chupe de pescado.
Which one is it? Is the mixto consuelo?
My mixto consuelo is my go-to dish. I will say if anyone's coming here, the most I don't know, palate-friendly dish is probably the encebollado if you like fish, because it's really inexpensive. Yes. So like that might be the easiest one for anybody to try if they come to Ecuador. Yeah.
And it's usually served in the mornings. They usually only serve it.
It's a breakfast.
Breakfast type dish.
The encebollada.
Yeah, they do soup for breakfast here. That's another thing. It doesn't matter how hot it is.
And the crazy thing is you learn to adapt, because I would not eat soup in the summertime. Like, who wants hot soup in the summertime?
I don't care.
But now that I'm here, it doesn't matter. I've adapted.
Yeah.
So do you think Ecuador is it for you, or are you guys planning on moving in like a few years?
It's it for now.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any plans to move anywhere.
Yeah, we never know. Yeah. Something else may come available that we want to try out.
An opportunity we can't pass up. Then,
yeah. But for right now.
Yeah, otherwise, this one's great for us.
Okay. So what do you think is one thing or a couple of things that you can do now that you could not do living in the U.S.?
Work.
No, you said things that we can do now that we couldn't do then.
Yeah, work.
No, that's the opposite.
I can't work in the U.S. I mean, I can work in the U.S. I don't have to work here.
That's not what she asked.
Oh, what she asked?
She said, "What can you do now that you couldn't do in the United States?" See, preoccupied.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's time to just do whatever we feel like doing.
Yeah, and doing it together.
Right.
Because we really didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of things together, because his schedule was different from mine. He would either be off and I was at work, or I was at work and he was, I was off and he was at work, and travel.
Yeah. That we have a lot more time to actually enjoy travel than we did before.
And we could stay longer.
Yeah.
Because usually we will only be able to stay for like a week. We can stay 2 weeks, a month now.
Yeah, we were like almost 3 weeks in Europe, like whatever we feel like doing. Bali was 2.5 weeks. So that's what this place offers us, just time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So given the changes in the U.S. recently, our political climate, do you think we're going to see more families leaving the U.S. and going to places like Ecuador or Mexico?
I hope so. Not necessarily because of the political climate, but just because people see that like there's more to life than just being in the U.S. or being in the same state they grew up in. Mm-hmm. We have always, before all this, we encourage people to travel more and see the world, see how things are different and in some ways better.
Yeah. And not just believe everything you see on television.
Right.
You need to, as they say, boots on the ground, see for yourself and see how life is for others, not just, what you see on TV, because what they show on television isn't always what's happening in that country.
Right.
Because, the U.S. has a way of saying everywhere else is horrible.
Right. But just like in other countries, people in Europe and whether it be Asia or whatever, the only thing they see about the U.S. is like mass shootings and all this other crazy stuff. So they assume that it's dangerous here. It's dangerous in the U.S. So it's all perspective. It's all perspective, and people just need to get out and see the world.
Okay, I'm going to put your channel here again so people see it. Living, Loving Abroad. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we go?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If anyone watching wants, feel free to come to our channel. We try to put out relevant information when we can. We try to do some fun stuff sometimes that has nothing to do with travel, just because we feel like it. We have a few other channels too. The links are on our page. We really appreciate anyone that watches. We appreciate you for having us here on live. we don't get many offers. So of course we were really happy.
Well, what I was going to say for those who are watching, if you haven't gotten your passport, please apply for your passport and see the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people are very
Yeah.
hesitant. I don't know why people won't get a passport, because that passport is a government issued ID and you can use it for anything, cash in a check, open an account, travel internationally, a lot of things. And it lasts for 10 years. It's not just a driver's license. You need more than just a driver's license. So you definitely work to get your passport.
Yeah, JB says she was heading to Alaska and a neighbor asked her if she needed a passport.
Oh my God. We just got back from Alaska earlier this year.
Yeah.
It was my first time visiting. We went on a cruise. It was absolutely beautiful.
What time of year did you go?
We went in May. It was like spring, going into spring.
Yeah, going into spring.
Yeah. It's cool. Well, for him, it was cold. It was cool for me because
I knew what to expect because I used to live there when I was a kid. So I knew what to expect.
But it was absolutely beautiful.
Alaska is on my list. Yeah, because it is. I see the pictures. It's like the glaciers and the lakes and the snow and the bears. It looks really pretty. I want to go, definitely. But I got to go, like in the summer when it's cold, but not like ridiculous.
It's worth it. Well, the summer's nice and warm. Even when we were there in May, even though it was spring, if you were out in the sun, I mean, it was perfectly.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it's perfectly.
I walked around majority of the time without a coat. I was in short sleeve.
Yeah.
But the awesome things, like you said, the glacier, the mountains with the snow on it, to actually see a moose, that was different. That was absolutely different. And then we saw a lot of moose nuggets, which is moose dung. And I was like, okay, hold on. That means they're close by.
They're close by. There's a mom and a baby. There's two different sized piles here.
I'm like, okay, let's hurry up and move on.
It's funny. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We had some great questions, and I definitely feel like we got to visit Ecuador now. So if my mom is still watching, we can go over there, plan a trip, because just the prices of the food, and I got to check out Airbnbs. I'm sure do they have Airbnbs there?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you use Airbnb or Booking.com.
And if you decide to look for an Airbnb, make sure they have hot water.
Yeah,
because a lot of places
don't have hot water
because they don't
default.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Yeah, so here's the thing: it's not abnormal to have hot water. It's just not totally normal to have hot water. So especially on the coast, the closer you are to the coast, it's a lot less normal for a place to have hot water, especially an older place.
Yeah.
So you gotta ask and make sure.
Or just look in the description, amenities.
It says hot water.
It's a amenity to have hot water.
Yeah.
That is interesting. JB says she wants to move and you never have to dress up. That's nice.
Oh, never.
Yeah.
I think
I'm taking this shirt off as soon as we get back.
I wear leggings and a t-shirt all day, sweats. It's just I don't ever want to dress up. If I don't have to.
She's like to go to Ecuador and she'll be waiting for the video. I'm going. Yeah, I gotta look for my Airbnb with the hot water, and then I'm gonna have some encebollada and some of these other things y'all talking about.
Yes, definitely. And let us know when you're coming.
Yeah, try to help you out.
Yeah, definitely. We'll tell you no, go over here. That's the place to go.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. And we'll be in touch.
Yes.
All right.